Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and of course, you are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We have so much to cover today. This is a big show. Tom Homan dropped something big, I mean really big, last night, which we're going to get to shortly, but there's a few things we've got to get out of the way first. Welcome, everyone. If you'd like to call in, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. Do you know that a week from Monday, 2 weeks from yesterday, on the 16th of June, will be 10 years since our greatest president, Donald Trump, came down the escalator? That's right. 2 weeks from yesterday, a week from Monday, on June 16th, mark your calendars, 10 years since President Trump came down the escalator. So it's been the decade of Trump. That's right. Starting a week from Monday will be the official day. And in the decade of Trump, can you imagine? It's been that long. I know. It has time not flown by. In the decade of Trump, President Trump has just turned the whole world upside down. The whole world has been driven by him for 10 years. And boy, oh boy, are we in a much better place today because of President Trump. It's absolutely amazing. I can't believe it's been 10 years. He's dominated the global media, the politics. He, of course, has been saving our country as well. But the decade of Trump is what we've been living through, and it's pretty exciting. You know, the only thing about the decade of Trump going by so fast is I want this second term not to go by so fast. I want this second term to go by very, very slow so that I can savor every single minute of it. But yeah, and think about it. So 2 weeks from yesterday, 1 week from this coming Monday, will be the 10th anniversary of Trump coming down the escalator. And then 2 days before that, on Saturday the 14th, that was a movie, which I never saw. On the 14th of this month, which is a Saturday, is our favorite president's birthday. So we've got, this is the month of MAGA. June, it used to be the Pride month, and now it's MAGA month. The month of June is the month of MAGA. Very exciting. We have a lot to cover, and we're going to cover quite a bit on the program today. And did you guys catch Tom Homan on Hannity last night? Oh, boy. I want to share this with you, and then after the break, I've got some other things I want to bring up. We got a lot to cover, so here in the beginning, I may go through a lot of stories fast, but it's just because there's so much to cover, I want to get through a lot of it. So Sean Hannity had Tom Homan on last night, and, you know, we just had this Islamic terror attack take place in Colorado. And, of course, it's a god-awful terrorist attack, and it's just, you know, it's the second Islamic terror attack we've had in the last couple of weeks, right? The Israeli embassy staffers murdered by that lunatic on behalf of Hamas and Gaza in D.C. Now we have this, and it's really frightening. And this both of these attacks are the fault of the Democrats. The first guy in D.C., while he was an American, he was radicalized by the Democrat Party. And the guy yesterday that we were talking about, well, I guess it was the day before yesterday, with his Islamic terrorist attack, lighting Jews on fire while they're alive in Colorado. Just horrific. He is here because of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and the Autopen committee that had been running the country the last 4 years. And that terror attack would not have happened if Biden and border czarina Kamala Harris were doing their job. But Tom Homan was on Hannity last night and dropped something big, and let me share it with you because it's scary stuff, people.
Sympathies go out to the victims here, but do you not agree that if we don't find these people soon, that we are at risk of a 9/11 or worse?
It's coming. I mean, why did 2 million illegal aliens pay more to get away? They could have paid half of what they paid, cross the border, turn yourself into a border patrol agent, get released that same day, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, plus free medical care and work authorization. 2 million people paid more to get away. They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. Why? This scares the hell out of me. I've been doing this for 40 years. It should have scared the hell out of every American what the Biden administration did. This 2 million known gotaways scares the hell out of me. So I'm convinced something's coming unless we can find them.
Okay. So, and Tom Homan doesn't play. He's not into hype. He's not in the theatrics. He's just a very plain-speaking guy, and he's certainly in the know of what's going on. So what he's telling us is that there are terror cells and terrorists that are all over this country waiting to act. And I mean, this is terrifying. And yesterday, I was watching the coverage of the Colorado terrorist yesterday. My goodness, did you watch any of this coverage? The local authorities had a press conference, and a reporter, we know he was illegal, right? Local reporter, well, I don't know if they were local reporters. Reporters in the press conference with the local authorities, the local police, asked them what the immigration status is of the rest of his family, and they wouldn't answer. Right? The local law enforcement would not answer. And a lot of times, no answer is an answer. If they were all legal, they would tell us. So at least some of them are illegal. And Laura Loomer broke a story, and she is all over this, okay? She's doing a lot of investigating on the Colorado jihadi. And Laura Loomer dropped yesterday a pretty big story that the terrorist, I'm talking about the terrorist, that the terrorist's daughter, whose immigration status is unknown, the terrorist's daughter has been accepted to 2 colleges in Colorado. So if she is here illegally and her dad's a jihadi, should she be allowed to start school, or should that privilege be taken away? And I bet you that she's got a free ride, too, to either of the colleges she chooses to go to. What's going on here? I mean, it really gives you a little peek at what this country would have been like if Kamala Harris or Joe Biden were the president today. And it is frightening beyond imagination. Equally disturbing is that the feds charged the Colorado jihadi with a hate crime. This guy, hate crime? First off, he shouldn't be charged like a regular criminal. This was an act of terrorism. He is a foreign national. He is an Islamic terrorist from Egypt who is in the country illegally. This should not be going through the regular court system. He should be in Gitmo right now. He should have been in Gitmo by noon yesterday. He should have been in Gitmo by the time we woke up yesterday. And his entire family should have been hauled in as well for questioning and investigations to find out if this guy is a lone jihadi or not. They've told us that he was planning this for a year. How does he plan something like this for a year and no one in his family knows about it? Come on. My family know everything I do. Don't yours, guys? And I must say, I've got something new on Bongino and Cash Patel, which I'm going to get to after the break. But I'll tell you this, with all the heat that Dan Bongino and Cash Patel have been given, don't you think that Dan Bongino should be the lead FBI person in charge in Colorado right now into this jihadi? Why is he in an office in D.C.? He should be out there in the lead, having the press conferences and taking the lead in this investigation. And, you know, the reason he should be in Guantanamo is to send a message. You know, the jihadi in D.C. and this guy both got caught. Very unusual for Islamic terrorists. And the guy in D.C. sat down at the site and waited for the police to come. He wanted to get arrested. Looks like this guy did too. If Bongino was out there on the scene taking the lead, he'd earn some respect back, don't you think? And I would like to have seen a press conference yesterday with Kash Patel, Bongino, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi telling us that not only was he in Guantanamo Bay, but he will be, we've transported him to Guantanamo Bay for interrogation. Not getting lawyered up in front of a bail judge like they did. This was an insane act of Islamic terrorism. It might as well have been Muhammad Atta doing this, all right? My goodness. Charging him with a hate crime, taking him before the bail judge. Are you kidding? Now, I want to tell you guys about Friendly Tire in Margate. I've been a customer of Friendly Tire for over 15 years, and I found them out of necessity. I've mentioned this before. I used to have a Jeep Wrangler, the really cool ones with the soft top and the four-wheel drive and the huge tires. And I got it because I wanted one my entire life. I always thought those Jeeps were the coolest thing, and I got such a great deal on it. I really did. I couldn't believe what a great deal I got on my Jeep Wrangler, and I found out why I got such a great deal when I went to get new tires. Oh my goodness. I went to the regular tire shops around, and those big oversized four-wheel drive tires were just insanely expensive. And I was doing some research online to find affordable tires, and a friend of mine also told me while I was doing this about Friendly Tire in Margate. I found them. I went over there, and I've been buying all of my tires from Friendly Tire in Margate ever since because his tires are affordable. He doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or even dispose of your old tires. And the price he quotes you is out the door and on the road, and because he doesn't add those things to the price. You won't find lower tire prices anywhere else. He has all the name brands you love, whether it's Pirelli, Bridgestone. I'm a Firestone person, but if you're into the name brand tires, he has all of those. You can get new tires for as low as $70 a tire out the door and on the road. As low as $70 a tire out the door and on the road on some of the most common vehicles on the road today. Give Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. Also, if you have run flats, great deals on those. If you have a Tesla or an EV, he's got the special tools needed to change those tires on the Teslas and EVs, and great deals on those as well. Here's his number, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. All right. Yeah, pretty disturbing there with Tom Homan. Okay. So now I got to get into Kash and Bongino when we get back. And it pains me to do it. I mean, I don't want to, you know. Okay. Yes, welcome. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys. We'll be back shortly. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. I know, isn't it exciting? 10 years since Trump came down the elevator. It is Tuesday, but for some reason, it seems like Wednesday to me. About a minute, we'll be back. I don't know why it seems like Wednesday to me. You know, with the schedule I have, the days blend together. I only keep track of the days based on the days that I have, you know, the garbage comes. Trash comes twice a week. I know what days the trash comes, so that's how I keep track of the days of the week. Saturday, Sunday are the same as Thursday and Wednesday and everything else to me. Exactly. All right, 20 seconds. Stand by. And what is that, Angel? We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Welcome, one and all. Okay, so much to cover. This really pains me. I have two clips I'm going to play, one of Kash Patel and another of Bongino. And the Bongino one I have not shared with you before. And I meant to share it yesterday, and we had a lot going on because we had this Colorado jihadi, and I didn't get to it. But I'm going to get to it today in just a few minutes. But first, I want to play this clip of Kash Patel. This is a Kash Patel from that Bartiromo interview. Remember we talked about that a while back?
So we'll take the criticism, and it's rightfully so. Like, could we have done more in the past? Sure, people before us could have. But what we can do now is continue to put out the documents and the information that these people withheld from the American public. And I'm just telling you right now, as much as we know about Crossfire Hurricane, he and I just found out more last week. And we're continuing to work with Congress to put those documents out. That's how vindictive and vicious the former leadership structure here was. Not only did they bastardize the FISA process and lie to the American public, they withheld and hid documentation and put it in rooms where people weren't supposed to look. And it's a good thing we're here now to clean it up, and you're about to see a wave of transparency.
What do you mean?
Just give us about a week or two.
Okay.
Okay, just give us about a week or two. Okay, Bartiromo says. That interview aired 2 weeks ago this past Sunday. The interview had to have been done the day before or the Friday before the Sunday that it aired. So it's been 2.5 weeks since he said, give us a week or two. Now, maybe I missed it, but did Kash Patel and Bongino drop anything, or did I miss it? It's been 2.5 weeks. What did I miss? What did they drop? Or did they drop nothing? And I've been pretty patient. I know I've brought them up when they've done interviews, but and I didn't do it yesterday. I didn't bring this up yesterday for two reasons. One, we had the terrorist attack. And two, I wanted to give, that interview aired 2 weeks ago this past Sunday, so I wanted to give them the full day on the Monday after. So, and as I said, that interview, since it was recorded and it aired on Sunday, was done either the Friday or Saturday before the interview. So it's been 2.5 weeks since that interview that he said give him a week or two, and we've got nothing. Nothing. So what's going on here? And I want to ask you all a few questions, and if you're on hold, hang in there. But I want to ask you all a few questions and share your thoughts with me on this. Am I going too hard on Kash Patel and Dan Bongino? I want to know. Or are you as frustrated as I am with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino? I want to hear your thoughts on that at 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And I'll tell you, I know, I'm very disappointed. And like I said in the first segment, I've been open to this from the beginning. I've said, if they come through with something, if they do something, all will be forgiven, forgotten. And I'll be the first one to tell you, and I'll be very happy to do it, that I was wrong that they came through. But it's been 2.5 weeks since he made that statement, Kash Patel, and we have gotten not a thing. Unless I missed it, nothing. So I'm kicking the can down the road there, hoping we'd forget about it. My goodness. No, I'm not happy. And I like these guys. And I know you guys do too. But just because we like someone doesn't mean we can't be upset or disappointed. And like I said in the first segment, with this jihadi attack in Colorado, this is a great opportunity for Bongino to show what he's got and get out there to Colorado and take the lead. He's a media person. Take the lead of the investigation. Lead the press conferences. Let us know what's really going on. None of this cover-up stuff. Show that you got what it takes. Now, I've got one more clip of Dan Bongino that I've not played yet. I'm going to play it after the bottom of the hour break. This is nuts. And when I play you this clip after the break, listening to this, Bongino to me sounds like he's cracking under the pressure, and the pressure is the pressure that that MAGA world is putting on, like this conversation now that we're having. And not only does it sound like Bongino's about to crack in this clip I'm going to share with you, he says something that is very weird. Very weird. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. I'm going to play this Bongino clip after I've not played this clip yet. I would have played it yesterday if it wasn't for that attack in Colorado. I just didn't get to it. But we are going to get to it after the break. You on hold, you hang in there. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this. And when I play this Bongino clip, I want to hear your thoughts on it too, because does he sound like he's going to crack? And he says something in this clip that I think he slipped and did not mean to say. All right. 1-888-465-2631. It is Tuesday. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, guys. All right, 30 seconds. We'll be back. All right, we are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, do a quick recap. I'll recap the Tom Homan story a little later. I played the clip a few minutes ago. Let me rewind it and play it again. This is Bongino and Kash Patel. Here's Kash Patel on Bartiromo on that Fox interview we talked about a couple weeks ago.
To put out the documents and the information that these people withheld from the American public. And I'm just telling you right now, as much as we know about Crossfire Hurricane, he and I just found out more last week. And we're continuing to work with Congress to put those documents out. That's how vindictive and vicious the former leadership structure here was. Not only did they bastardize the FISA process and lie to the American public, they withheld and hid documentation and put it in rooms where people weren't supposed to look. And it's a good thing we're here now to clean it up, and you're about to see a wave of transparency.
What do you mean?
Just give us about a week or two.
Okay. Well,
a week or two and a wave of transparency. It's been 2.5 weeks since that interview. 2.5 weeks. And where have we gotten the information, right? Okay. And now this, this is the clip I wanted to play yesterday, and I didn't get to because we had so much going on. This is Bongino. He did an interview on Fox. Remember last week, Kash Patel was interviewed by Bret Baier. That was on, wasn't that on Thursday? And then on Friday, Bongino went on Fox. And I did play some of the audio, but there's one I didn't that I'm going to play for you now. And this clip is very strange, okay? I'm going to play it uninterrupted. It's 45 seconds. Dan Bongino says something very weird here that I don't think he meant to say. To me, he sounds like he's about to crack. And I'm also sensing major regret that he accepted the position of the deputy FBI director. So listen to this clip of Bongino, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this and on if I'm being too hard on these guys, please let me know and explain how I'm being too hard. Kash Patel said, "Give us a week or two, and then everything's gonna flow." We got nothing. And then Bongino on Friday, this is the clip.
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Kash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing.
Okay. Wow. He said, divorced from my wife, and it's been hard on the wife, right? That's Bongino. That was on Friday on Fox. It sounds to me that it seems to me, based on that his wife didn't want him to take the job. You know, Bongino had an incredibly successful company, a media company. He had a podcast and a radio show. He was doing both every day. He was making, I saw one report, it said $12 million a year. And he's new money. He's only been making that money for the last few years. And from my experience of knowing people, most people, especially when they're new to money, they live at the lifestyle of the income they earn, most people, even especially the new money people like this. Yeah, that's right. And there's probably, based on that, some financial hardship going on because they've had to take a big financial hit. They put this guy on in place of him who's a mediocre talent. You know, he's competent, but there's nothing interesting. I can't remember the guy's name. Can you? Some of you might. So they got to pay him, but that podcast and radio show are personality driven by Bongino. And there's no way that they're getting the same type of ratings they were before. You know, yesterday it was reported by an influencer that Ben Shapiro's viewership is down 70%, 70%. Isn't that crazy? And I imagine with the new Bongino guy that the listens and the views are down significantly. I checked him out once or twice in the beginning just to see who he was. Yeah, Vince is his name. And I was not impressed. And I don't think many people were. And you probably don't listen to it regularly, not like you did Bongino. And he's getting so much negative feedback, it would be very difficult for him to return to doing what it was he was doing because he's been there for years now, going up again. We got to find this out. We got to uncover this. The deep state that. The feds this. Now he is those guys, and we've got nothing. And most relationships, and in particular marriages, not all, but most marriages that have a problem, the main problem that I shouldn't say the main problem, the most common problem married couples have always come down to finances. Finances can be a double-edged sword, but you know, if they're having money problems, that usually causes problems. And you walk away from a multi-million-dollar business where you're making over $1 million a month to a job that makes in the low six figures a year, and your company takes a big financial hit, that can cause a lot of stress on a relationship. And he said one thing that was just insanely weird that let me rewind it, that was a word used in a context that I've never heard a man use before.
30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day. And
Okay, now first off, before I get to the next part, what is this with staring at the four walls all day? Why isn't he out there kicking indoors, right? Why isn't he out there actually kicking indoors and arresting people? Why is he sitting in an office staring at four walls all day? Now, I was expecting, like I've said, him to be like Tom Homan, out there in the field taking charge, but that's not the main thing. Let me rewind it and I'll play it. This next thing he says is just very strange.
Work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's...
divorced from my wife? Or not divorced, separated, divorced from my wife. That sounds like there's some marriage problems going on. And it could be, my guess would be a lot of it has to do with that he took the job and the financial hit that they've probably taken over it. My goodness. He sounds like he is about to crack. And certainly your thoughts are welcome on that. Okay, now those of you on hold, hang in there. Our number is toll-free 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Now again, you have no idea how wrong I want to be about these guys. Okay? I want to be so wrong about them. In fact, people out there in the listening audience, before the Bartiromo interview, many of you were calling me complaining. And I said, well, no, let's wait. We got to give them time. These things take time. And then they did the Bartiromo interview. So what are we supposed to think now that they've done that Bartiromo interview and the follow-up interviews last week with Brett Baer and the other one that Bongino did where I played that clip? I've never heard a man say he's divorced from his wife or separated from his wife unless they are. I mean, that is, and if you saw the video of the audio I played, he's not looking like he's emotionally well. He looks very emotionally upset. And to say divorced from my wife, not divorced, I mean, how did he say it exactly?
My wife, not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard.
Okay, hold on, a little further.
Myself, divorced from my wife, not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it...
Divorced from my wife, not divorced, separated, divorced. What does that mean exactly? Are they separated? I don't know. What would happen if he left to be with his wife and he went back to his show? Would he be able to take calls? I would imagine that if he went back to his show, the boards would be filled with people ticked off that he didn't do anything. It's disturbing. Also disturbing, Mike Lindell's on trial in Colorado. Started yesterday. They had jury selection. Yeah, I know. Mike Lindell of MyPillow. And I have my Giza Elegance pillow in my arm. It feels so good in my arm. This is awesome. I feel the stress leave my body just holding my MyPillow in my arm right now. But Mike Lindell's trial began, and he has said that he's going to be taking the stand in this trial. They had jury selection, and they were asking members of the jury if they have MyPillows. So if you have a MyPillow, you're disqualified from Mike Lindell's jury. Isn't that nuts? Now, of course, there's great deals at MyPillow.com. Still time to shop for Father's Day as well. And the MyPillow that I sleep on most often is the one I'm holding in my arm right now. This is the premium MyPillow with the Giza cotton cover on it. It's just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout. Regular price, $69.98. You will love these things. You have never had a good night's sleep unless you've slept on a MyPillow. And the premium pillow with the 100% Giza cotton cover on it keeps your head and your neck the perfect temperature all night long, which you want to be as the hot summer months are here already in Florida, and they will be around the country as well. You can use our promo code Kane at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. Still time to shop for Father's Day. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout. Call us on hold, stand by. We'll go to the calls after the break. We'll be back after this. Now, you guys watching online, there is a link in the description of the video to MyPillow. You can go there and order, but this is such a great pillow, guys. The MyPillow, this is the premium MyPillow made with 100% Giza cotton fabric. It's absolutely amazing. I can feel that incredible patented fill. And just holding this pillow, all the left side of my body is now just completely relaxed. That's amazing. It's so amazing. I should walk around like this all day everywhere I go. I'd be so relaxed with my MyPillow. It feels great. Oh, it's in the 90s here in Florida most days now. 80s, 90s. And we're not even in the hot time yet. But in the wintertime, it also keeps your head and neck the perfect temperature too. Remember, it's promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, and there is a link in the description to my MyPillow page, all right? Order yours. It's still time for Father's Day. All right, there we go. Let me cue things up. Call us on hold. You hang in there. Let's see.
I say this because
Okay. Okay, we'll be back in just a few seconds. Stand by. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I feel bad for Bongino. I mean, he sounds like his marriage is falling apart and he can't handle the stress of the job. And he sounds to me clinically depressed, or maybe it's situational depression. I'm not a therapist, but he sounds like he's about to crack. He sounds like his life's a wreck. And I feel bad. I like him. So all right, let's take some of these calls. I've been jibber-jabbering a lot. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana.
How you doing today, Brian?
All right, how are you?
Okay, man. Okay. So Dan Bongino. He probably has one of the hardest jobs in the world right now. So I think we gotta give this guy a break, man. In my opinion.
Why?
Why? Because he has one of the hardest jobs in the world right now.
Well, Tom Homan does too, and I don't see Tom Homan whining on TV and making promises he can't keep.
Oh, Tom?
Cash
Tom's awesome,
Patel said, give us 1 or 2 weeks and the information's going to flow. It's been 2.5 weeks and we haven't gotten jack.
Right. Oh, no, I see.
I mean, if you're not up to the job, don't take it.
Right. 2 weeks compared to 3 weeks. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna know by next week. Is he being for real?
No, it's been 2.5 weeks.
I can give him a little leeway sometimes.
We have been giving them leeway.
But when you say something, you gotta live up to that.
Well, they haven't lived up to it.
Right.
Are you married? Are you married?
No, I was. Well, I have a kid. I have one son.
So were you married or are you divorced?
No, I'm not married.
Okay, were you?
Married.
You were never married.
I had a girlfriend and we had a kid.
Okay.
And we never did.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes.
That's fine. You know, here's Bongino. He said, divorce, staring at 4 walls all day, divorced from my wife. Oh, not divorced, separated, divorced. I mean, what does that mean to you? What is he saying?
That means, that's it. You separated. It's going one way and another to go the other way.
I mean, you know, there are people who live and work in... I could see he's in Washington, which she could be with him in Washington, by the way. Why isn't she living with him in Washington? She might be back here in Florida running the business. So I can see, you know, hey, listen, I wouldn't like that. I'm here in Washington working 100 hours a week. My wife is back home in Florida running the business, so... We're separated, and I can't fly home on the weekends and all this stuff because we're so busy.
You talking about yourself?
No, I'm talking about him.
You are?
I'm talking about him.
Okay.
That's the kind of thing guys like that say. But what he said
that's a lot, dude. That's a lot to handle.
Well, then don't take the job.
I'm wondering, is it his job that's causing his marriage? It's like, do I do the job or do I do the marriage?
My guess is, okay, this is my guess. This is my guess, okay? He was making millions of dollars a year. I saw one report a couple weeks ago that said $12 million a year. I don't know, but I saw that reported. So he's making like $1 million a month through his podcast and radio show. That's a lot of money. But the entire business is personality driven around him. And he's not there. And they plugged in this guy, Vince, who's mediocre. And he's got a job making the low 6 figures. So they've taken a huge financial hit. And they knew that coming in.
About Vance?
I'm talking about Bongino.
Oh, you said Vance?
No, the guy that they hired, Bongino's wife hired someone to replace him his name is Vince. And they've changed the show's name from Bongino to The Vince Show. And that's who's took over. And my guess is she didn't want him to...
Bongino, man.
I do too.
I do like him as a person.
I like him too, but he's messing
I'm
up.
at all this stuff, man.
He's messing. All right, appreciate the call. All right, but he's messing up here. It sounds to me like she didn't want him to take the job. You know, I'll tell you because of the money. You know, now if Bongino was up there kicking butt and taking names like Tom Homan and doing roundups and was rounding up people in the lawfare scandals of our country, this mediocre guy that they replaced him with would be setting the world on fire talking about it. But he's not. And this clip that I played for you before the break sounds to me like a broken man who's about to crack. I do feel bad for him because I like him and Cash Patel. And it pains me to bring this up. But if you're not up to the job, don't take the job. Don't take the job. And the question that I've had about, and there's no way that President Trump's not disappointed with these guys. The question I asked when this came up a week or so ago is he a poser? Are they posers? Are they really up to these tough law enforcement things that they've been talking about? Or are they posers? Now, part of what makes them look bad is not just the empty promise that, you know, give us a week or two and everything will be flowing. Nothing's flowing, Cash. But Tom Homan is doing so well and is such a tough cop out there taking charge. And that's what I think most people are comparing it to. So anyway, your thoughts on all of this are welcome. Now, after the top of the hour, I do have some other things that I'm going to get into. But this has got to be talked about. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and be a propagandist for these guys. There's no way the president is not disappointed. Now, if they step down and said, this bureaucracy, if a lot of people are saying, they can't do it because of this, they can't do it, have a press conference and say, we want to do A, B, C, and D, but we're being obstructed because of this, that, and the other thing. And it's not just Epstein. There's other things they can go for as well. As I said, they could go. There's a lot of people in the lawfare, including that Judge Mershon in New York and his daughter that raised all that money from the Democrats. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit where they could do lawfare investigations and do them openly so we see them doing something. All I'm hearing is a bunch of kicking the can down the road, clinical depression, situational depression, some kind of depression from Bongino here, promises that aren't kept, and excuses. Well, statute of limitations and, and this and that. And some people will say, well, some things are classified, some things are on trial. No. I don't buy that. Last week, they were it was Bongino on the same Fox interview with this depression thing. He said they're going to release video of Epstein in the cell to show that he was alone, but they're doing some enhancing for some reason so we can see it better. Well, in this day and age, it doesn't take a week to do enhancing on a video. Where's that video? So we've got nothing but empty promises and excuses, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing, and I'd like to see, if this continues, I'd like to see someone in those positions that's actually going to do what they're supposed to be doing. And if they come out and do something, I will be the first one to say, thank the Lord, I was wrong. They were doing everything. But this last clip of Bongino, to me, sounds like a broken man. I'll play it one last time and before we break here. But for those that are just tuning in, this is Bongino on Friday on Fox. This sounds like a broken man to me.
I gave up everything for this. My wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but separated, divorced. And it's hard. We love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing.
Okay, moving buildings is important, I guess, but it's not the most important. Now, it's hurricane season. It's rainy season, and, hurricane prep. I'm big into hurricane prep. I stock up on everything. I've got a generator. If I see a storm coming down, Hurricane Alley, I'll fill up my 5-gallon jug so I have fuel for my generator. I've got supplies. I've got flashlights. I even bought, it's a 1990s, but I bought a pocket portable television. I got it for $10 on eBay. It's a Casio. Those things cost I don't know, how much did they cost in the 80s and 90s? A lot. I never had one, but I got one now so I can have a television and watch the local weather. If there's a hurricane, of course, I've got batteries for my radio. I got everything. Part of hurricane prep, in fact, maybe the most important part, well, I take that back, the most important part, really, of hurricane prep, I think, is the one that's most often ignored, and that is your roof. With all these rains, if you look up and you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. And that leak could quite possibly be much worse than you think, because by the time it gets to your ceiling, it goes through a lot, right? It goes through the roof damage, it drips down, you got insulation up there, it's got to go through all that. If you've got a leak in your roof, you've got an entryway for the tropical storm and hurricane force winds to get under that roof and rip it off your house. And all that hurricane prep, it's for nothing. Give Tom Laporta a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing online at laportaroofing.com. We'll be back after this.
I say this because I
Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll take some more calls after the break. Okay, a little more than 30 seconds, and we will be back. I'll play the Bongino again if you want me to. Somebody's asking me to play Bongino again, but I'm going to take some calls first. Some of these people have been holding on for a while. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the chat. Welcome back. Hour number 2 has begun. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Well, let's just go to the phones before I do any recapping or bring anything up. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Rich from Coral Springs. How are you?
All right. What's up?
No, so I just wanted to state that the Republicans and Democrats, they continuously function underneath two different rule books. We're the team of the Boy Scouts, do everything by the law, and as a result, we're in a constant state of inertia. I'm not saying practice lawfare, but starting to bend the rules a little bit, ultimately fight fire with fire, and we're not seeing that. We have to follow the rules.
Well, you don't have to bend the. You don't know. It's not that they have to bend the rules. They're being polite. I'll give you an example. You know, in the American Revolution, the British wore bright red clothes, marched in straight lines in open fields, and General Washington was hanging out in the woods and had his guys up in the trees hiding, right? You know, they're fighting, if they're really fighting, being too gentlemanly. But Bongino sounds like he's about to crack.
Yeah, no, he's not going to last. I don't foresee him lasting beyond a month or two at tops.
What, do you think he'll quit or get fired?
No, I think he'll step back, probably have to work on his personal life and try to, pick up the pieces for his media company. But I'm not sure if that's repairable at this point.
It's not repairable unless he starts kicking butt. He's destroyed his brain. See, I'm really starting to think that he's a poser, meaning that he plays this tough guy on the radio, but he's more like, a lot of people that are in law enforcement spend their entire careers in offices. He just doesn't seem like he knows how. I mean, if you made me deputy director of the FBI, I wouldn't know how to do it. I don't know how to go out and investigate and knock in doors. This is, maybe he's been fake all these years. Tom Homan's the real deal.
Correct. Yeah, Tom Homan is definitely, putting his money where his mouth is. But the problem is I think us as a party are tired of the Sidney Powell, release the Kraken, Bongino, we're going to uncover the deep state. And it's been nothing but disappointment after disappointment. And we need somebody that's effective, like a Tom Homan, in that position.
Yeah, and, by the way, thanks for the call. You make some good points from Coral Springs. Tom Homan and the people around him, they're taking great risk, right? There's incredible risks going on. That's why the agents are wearing masks, ski masks and stuff. And do you notice the liberals are starting to go after them on that? They want the ICE agents to take off the ski masks. Well, of course they're wearing ski masks to protect their identity, so that their families are not harassed. They're taking down these hardcore South American, Latin American gang operations. And if you watch any arrest that we see in Latin America, the police always have their face covered. I had an incident a while back with a creep in this listening audience. And I went to the police about it and took care of it. And the police officer that handled it, he's so understood. He said, he says, I go out, I'm arresting some really bad guys, and I've got my name on my uniform. And he said, in this day and age, he says, they can find everything out about my family. And that, that's crazy. I didn't really think about that until that police officer told me that. And these ICE agents are wearing masks because the people they're dealing with would target them and their families. That's why they got to hide their identity. And the liberals are trying to get them to take the masks off so they can harass them, right? I mean, that's what's going on. So, Tom Homan and these ICE agents are taking incredibly high risk operations and doing them every single day. Okay, that's where the ski masks are coming in. All of a sudden, liberals are against masks. It wasn't that long ago, and they were mandating everybody wear them. But that's that. I think the masks are an indication of how much risk they're actually taking. Now, the Democrats. I don't think the Democrats understand that. Well, hold on. I got a clip about that. I was going to play for you guys. Hold on a second here. Let me pull.
Did
this
you know
up.
that your life insurance policy is an?
No, I did not know that. I hit the wrong button. I'm going to pull up this clip. Just give me a second, because this is one of these never Trumper types actually talking about it. It's Bill Kristol on CNN, and I caught this. I caught this last night, and it's a CNN panel, and they're talking about the ICE agents wearing masks. Okay, listen to this.
and get
Bill
arrested,
have a word
then you
on
give
this
them
topic.
the ability to say, you know what, I don't have to show up for my court order.
I mean, it's pathetic to pretend that, oh, we're so concerned about their safety, they have to wear masks. I grew up in New York City, 40,000 cops, extremely dangerous circumstances. None of them wear masks except in...
Okay, now Bill Kristol, you know, who is one of these fake country club Republicans. Remember Weekly Standard, Never Trumpers, and he's basically a liberal now. He's been a Never Trumper for years and years and years. He's talking about how tough it was in New York when he was growing up and the cops didn't wear masks. He's as old as the hills. There was no internet back then, okay? It wasn't so easy to look somebody up back then as it is now. It's a different time. And it was also a different time for the cops, too. But anyway, back to this.
For my court order.
I mean, it's pathetic to pretend that, oh, we're so concerned about their safety, they have to wear masks. I grew up in New York City, 40,000 cops, extremely dangerous circumstances. None of them wear masks except in extremely rare occasions when they were going after some gang leader who might have relatives who go after them. If they didn't, ICE agents have functioned in this country, they didn't wear masks. They shouldn't wear masks. It's total nonsense. And it's for intimidation. It's not really for their protection. It's ridiculous.
Can I play one more?
Okay. Are you kidding me? They are, we know what they're doing. They're going after it's not just that they're going after the worst of the worst with these terrorist gang members, the Trinde, the MS-13ers and all that, right? If they're identified, they also get the harassment from the Democrats and the media. And there is, what's scary about Bill Kristol? There was a time when he was an influential conservative voice in this country, like Ann Coulter used to be. Isn't that crazy? And big Never Trumper jerk. But they're having problems, so they want to harass the ICE agents. It's amazing to me that they're upset that they're protecting themselves and their families wearing masks, not just because they used to mandate masks, but they seem to have no problem with the illegals that are here doing crime. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right. Yep. Yeah, you're on the air. Just in time.
1 second. So sorry.
Yes. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. My name is Dylan. I'm from Texas.
Here we go, Mike. Yeah. Oh, here we go. He's building up. Yeah, Dylan from Texas.
Yeah, you sound super quiet. Sorry.
Okay, well, you called me. What's on your mind?
How do you feel about the Russian-Ukraine war?
Well, that's a vague question. I am against wars. I would like the war to be over.
No, me as well.
Ukraine screwed up this week. I mean, here they're in peace talks, and they launch a massive drone strike and take out a bunch of bombers of Russia. It's kind of hard to have peace negotiations when you're bombing the country.
Well, wouldn't you think it's also hard to have peace negotiations whenever Russia or Putin set up peace negotiations and then didn't show up?
Yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. Both sides are out of control right now.
Well, yeah, but I guess I think Ukraine's in a bit of a better position.
How are they in a better position? By the way, thanks for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Cindy Lucas.
Yes, Cindy. Cindy, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I live down the road. I live in Souls Point, which is where Dan Bongino lived. He's been here for a while. He came over from the West Coast. He ran for election back on the West Coast before anybody knew him, really.
Yeah, I remember.
He has a studio over here that he built in an old McDonald's building down the road. I like Dan, okay? There's some issues that I have with him. I had him come and speak at our events. I no longer have events because this is what I figured out after 8 years. Being in the business of politics that I've been in for over 28 years, There's so many new people out there. I'm not going to include them in this, but I would refer to them as grifters. I'm not buying another book. I'm not going to hear about your issue that's been around for 25 years and nobody does anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to go to jail. I'm sorry, they're just not.
Well, it doesn't. It actually, it doesn't. You know, it really doesn't look like, Cindy, that anyone's going to go to jail with Bongino and Cash Patel. And I'm,
well,
you know.
Right, exactly. But I think what's happened here is, you have to remember the Republican Party is a business. This is a business of raising money. How many times have we seen people? It's almost laughable. They'll show a picture of themselves at Mar-a-Lago, like they had an event. Well, you have to rent a room there. All right? To get speakers, you usually have to give them money. Okay? The Republican Party is a business.
Listen, there's nothing wrong. Hold on. There's nothing wrong with people earning a living as speaking and such. But if you're on the air year after year complaining that the deep state is doing this, the deep state's doing that, we've got to look into Epstein, we got to look into Butler, and now when you're the man and you're not doing it, that's a problem. And I don't think he's going to be able to return to his I think he's destroyed his entire reputation unless he does some big arrest, but I don't see that coming.
Well, I don't know. I can't answer those questions, whether or not, why, whatever. I had him come and speak at an event a long time ago. He has, I just found him very unapproachable the last 4 or 5 years, I think, which is kind of sad. I'll just give you an example. We had no masks in Martin County. We protested. We raised money. People stood on a corner, and Dan was there. And after all of that happened, that money was split up between activist groups like mine. And we received the money. Well, some people, including him, didn't give any money. They didn't donate $5 or $10.
No, but when you're a celebrity, okay, like him, you being there is better than donate. I mean, people show up and donate money because you're there.
Right. Well, that happened a long time ago, but I would just say to right now, as there's a lot of people who live here that are, whatever you want to call them, famous, whatever. And that's okay with me. I just think that there's just more to what's going on. I don't want to bash Cash and him. I don't think that there's the time. I think that we have to go back and listen to and this is what people will say to me who are voted for Trump. I will say, well, he didn't put Hillary in jail. Well, kind of like, well, that was kind of a slogan. Did we really think Hillary was going to go to jail? Look at the ramifications of that. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Every day.
You're confusing a couple things, okay, about the money and the grifter and everything, because listen. There's a difference in, because I'm very blessed. I make a good living and I have my entire adult life in broadcasting. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with making a living. What you're confusing is making an honest living and then being bought and paid for by special interests. There's a difference.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And how do you think that? I'm just going to give you a very good example. We are fighting here a thing called regionalism. We're fighting Andre Duany, who wants to make every town look the same. All of that stuff comes from the UN. There are people who go out there and speak about these things that have happened from the UN Agenda 21, now 2030. You will own it, nothing and like it. This is all being done. While that person lives in West Palm. West Palm is a smart city. West Palm is soon to be at 15 minutes.
Well, President Trump lives in Palm Beach. Palm Beach is incredibly hardcore Democrat.
West Palm, not Palm Beach.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Palm Beach and West Palm are historically left-wing Democrat stronghold. What's happened to you? There was a woman. I'll tell you what's happened with you, Cindy. Okay, because we've talked many times over the last few years. There was a woman I wish I could remember her name. Somebody, I apologize. She's passed away, but there was a woman in Broward County that ran the Tea Party in Broward County, and she was a great lady. Danita. Okay, Danita. Yeah, Danita. And she passed away a number of years ago. And she was a great woman. But she got to a point like you're at, where people that are grassroots activists, because Danita was a grassroots activist with the Tea Party in Broward. You're a grassroots activist in Martin County, and you get to a point where you feel like you're not accomplishing anything, and you become disillusioned, and that's where you are right now. But I
don't think I'm disillusioned.
But it's
No.
a little bit.
But I don't know. No, we won 6 seats in the last election. We're going to win 4 more. We took over the city of Stewart. We own it.
Well, that's
and
awesome.
Believe me, we're working, and that's what's going on here. We're not saying that. Listen, there's the Republican club. They're doing a great job. I'm sure the Republican Party. I belong to that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, there is there's a Bush Republican purge going on in Florida, because I referenced this yesterday, and something weird has happened. DeSantis's lieutenant governor, the lieutenant governor of Florida, has just accepted a full-time position as the president of Florida International University in Miami. She's been the interim president for a little while. I'm not sure how long. I didn't know about this till they announced she got the full. She's still the lieutenant governor, I believe. Has she resigned as lieutenant governor? But she's jumping ship.
Capitalist News. It was on one of the news feeds today from Florida with all the other stuff.
Well, she's jumping ship, because DeSantis and Jeb, it's over for them, because it's a MAGA state. Listen, Cindy, I'm late for the break, but it's good to talk to you. All right, take care. Callers on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. We'll be back in 1 minute. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Mark from Jupiter.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, just a couple of opinions on Dan. Obviously, I don't know the guy. And,
Give me 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. My phones are ringing off the hook, guys. So those of you on hold, I apologize. Okay, go ahead, Jupiter. I apologize. Yeah, your thoughts on Dan?
No worries. Yeah, so my opinions, and they don't mean much, but and he's a public persona, and I only know him from that. But of course, we know how much he loves his family and his wife, and I think he really misses her. And I think when you're not busy, as it appears with that one comment, that you start to feel that more. He's homesick. But I also have another darker side to it. I think some of the things he's seen, or some of the things he's started to uncover or has uncovered, are so grotesque that I think he is slightly defeated. I think he loves this country, and I don't think he was ready for the level of evil that he may be seeing, or things that have been done so far. And I also think he's clashing with Cash a little bit. I think he's not giving him enough. Cash is not giving him enough duties or allowing him to do his thing, and I think he's getting frustrated. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm listen. I know I say this. It's very unusual. I like these guys a lot, Dan Bongino and Cash Patel. I like them a lot, and I like them when they're on shows and things like this prior to having these jobs. And I don't say that I'm fans of too many people, if you notice, because I mostly talk about people I got beefs with, right? So I like these guys, but you get to the position they're in. And, President Trump, okay, he released the Kennedy files. But if you remember, he released Kennedy files in his first term, and they never did it. There was a bureaucracy that wouldn't implement his orders in his first term. And, even now with this, he's talked about this, with the prescription drug executive order that the president signed. He put Dr. Oz in charge of making sure it gets implemented. And he's spending a lot of time making sure that his orders get implemented and put into law now, because he had that first experience. So Bongino and Cash Patel, I know they're getting pushback from the bureaucracy and finding that things are hard or impossible to do. But what I'm hearing are excuses. I'm staring at four walls all day, statute of limitations. There's no way that he could not take a team of FBI agents from the New York office and raid the office of both the judge and the judge's daughter in that Mershon in that Trump trial, and bring the white collar team and find out where that $100 million went. That's hardcore corruption.
The friction. Yeah, and that's where the friction comes from. He wants to do that, and he's ready to act. And the bureaucracy, Cash, someone somewhere is saying, no way, can't do it, not now, or not ever. And that's got him completely frustrated. So now he's saying, hey, look, I gave up all this, and I'll never be able to accomplish
well, then tell us
what
that.
I set out to do.
And telling and going public with that would move the needle.
Good point, but he's one man, and again, he cares for his family, and maybe he's a little bit nervous about the power behind it all. What do I know, right?
All right, I hear you. I mean, we want them to be successful. We don't want them not to be successful, because we want them to do what we want them to do, but we also like it's three of them, right? It's Bongino, Cash, and Pam Bondi.
Pam, right.
Mm-hmm. All right, appreciate the call from Jupiter. Take care. All right, great call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. Oh, you just made it.
Wait, no, please.
You made it.
I did.
Barely.
I know.
What's on your mind? Again. No, it's one call per day.
What? The call got disconnected.
No, dump button first time today, Mike. Oh, my goodness. We'll be right back. We'll be back shortly, guys. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Mark. I'm a former libertarian.
Okay, hold on a second here. I'm just yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm a Marxist.
You're a former. You were a libertarian. Now you're a Marxist.
Yeah. So basically, I'm a Marxist for Trump. It's kind of weird, you know. I think that
doesn't even make sense. Explain to me how Mark. Come on, are you trolling me? You're not for real.
No,
Marxist
so
for
the
Trump.
reason I really like Trump is because I can't stand that nigger.
There we go. Second time we had to use the dump button. You know, you got to be quick on it. I tell you, the dump button. We're keeping track this week. It's been 2 times today. I've forgotten how many. You've got to figure out at the end of the week. I'll try to do an accounting. Oh my goodness. You guys remember? I should have done this years ago. Remember Craig Worthing? Craig Worthing. He was a radio host in the South Florida market for years and years and years. And he used to keep track of how many calls he got over the years. And then he had a big celebration when he got his 10,000th caller. And the radio station had a big party for him. And then something happened after that, which I'm not going to get into right now. But I wish I would have kept track, like he did, of all the calls, how many times we've had to use the dump button over the years. And with that particular guy, he, you know, the left, if you're on hold standby as I wait for the delay to re-engage, liberals like to call the MAGA movement all these terrible things that it's not. And obviously they have no examples to point it out. So what they call in is pretend to be MAGA and then say some of the controversial things. So then they can say, see, they got to create it. If you're on hold, you hang in there. Our number is 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. I want to take a moment, though, to tell you guys about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. You know, his laser wave pain treatment is absolutely amazing. You know, Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, which is amazing. No assistance or anyone. He does them all himself. And that's why he gets such great treatment, because he's the doctor. You know, what he does, Dr. Appleton, is he finds on your body, and he's so good at this. I mean, he really is. He finds where on your body the pain is coming from. You know, one time I went in there and I had this pain. Well, it was one of the times I went in with my shoulder. It was in my arm and everything else, and it was so bad, I was almost in tears. And he examined me, Dr. Appleton. He said, the pain's right here. And I said, but it hurts down here, doc, too. He says, it's the nerve. I was in so much pain. I said, okay. And boom, he treated my shoulder with the laser wave pain treatment, and he rid me of pain all the way down my arm into my hand. It was amazing. And I'm pain-free now, like I got my arm back. It's amazing. Give Dr. Appleton a call, all right? You know, I was at a party over the weekend, and there were some of our MAGA cruisers were there, and they were all telling me, I didn't realize how many of them had been to see Dr. Appleton. for different types of pain, arthritis, pain here, pain there, and they were all pain-free thanks to Dr. Appleton. Give them a call and say bye-bye to your pain too. 954-973-0710. Remember, there's no shots, no injections, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. It's 100% painless. You don't even feel the treatment when it's happening, and no appointment is necessary. Walk-ins are always welcome, even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710, and online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, you're on the air.
Hey, Brian. This is Terry from Kentucky. I've spoken with you
Oh, yes.
a couple of times, but I haven't quite understood one thing, Brian. When we're talking about what came to light in Boulder, Colorado, with the protesting, or not really the protesting, the terrorist attack, those folks were doing peaceful protest, okay? Back in the BLM, when all this stuff was brought to light, I live near Louisville, Kentucky, and they destroyed our city, among other cities. George Floyd riots and all that stuff. And that's what they are, they're riots. But what I haven't understand, as a retired Army veteran of 21 years, I am 100%, your rights, your right to peaceful protest, but I haven't figured it out. Once it turns violent, or even thinks it's going to turn violent, why don't our law enforcement go in and swoop them up? And
because
so on and so
when you
forth?
go to when you go to these big cities where all this stuff happens, right? Like they're Democrat cities, and the cops are liberals too. Like as an example, the jihadi attack in Boulder on Saturday, right? The guy was lighting Jews on fire. And he's a Muslim man. He's lighting Jews on fire while they're alive, by the way, yelling "Free Palestine" and "Kill the Zionist." The police chief has a press conference, and he won't call it terrorism. And I promise you, Derek Chauvin, who's the officer in the George Floyd incident, I promise you he's a Democrat. Cops in these big cities are liberal Democrats, just like the rest of the town. And they agree with him. Remember when all those FBI agents took a knee and bowed down before black people to honor George Floyd? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why. The cops are Democrats too, and support these wackadoodle wokeisms.
Right, yeah. I guess you're right. I guess I don't want to think that everybody, that's in law enforcement and stuff, but you know what? I guess it is. And all these wackadoodles that's got a big bankroll, I believe they're getting a cut off of those.
Yeah, but Black Lives Matter, appreciate the call from Kentucky. I think that might be the first real call that we've had. A lot of the seminar callers always claim to be from Kentucky, but he had like the real accent, by the way. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Jeremy from South Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just basically, so I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this on the air.
Well, you cannot use profanity. No profanity.
Okay, no, I heard that caller earlier.
All right, so what's on your mind, South Michigan? We'll see.
But are you familiar with the concept of black fatigue?
No.
Basically, it's when you're really tired after big.
Okay. My goodness. See, now this is lovely. Now we're getting into I told you, we're getting the liberals pretending to be MAGA. All right, now listen, I want to, if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to share this. I wanted to get to this earlier and I didn't. But this is an important issue for me that I want to talk about. Okay, they have, Tim Walz has been all over the place. And the Democrats are out there talking about, they've lost men. How can they get men back? It's hopeless for you guys, all right? But anyway, Tim Walz was talking yesterday. Let me share this with you.
I say this because I'm proud to say it looks like as of next Tuesday, I'm going to have a high school graduate with my son, Gus. And he's pretty in tune to this. But when he said this, he said, Dad, a lot of these young guys, especially, said they're not voting on the policy issues. And he wasn't dissing them. He said they may know the policy issues, but most of them don't. They're doing it because there's a sense of excitement, a sense of thrill in this. It's entertainment or whatever. We all dismiss that. Donald Trump's a clown. Donald Trump's rallies are a clown. This MMA fighting stuff and this, and look, you start veering in to the Andrew Tate stuff, which is dangerous misogyny and, assault issues and all of that. But there's a peripheral side of that is not criminal, but is still going down the same road of saying you got a place to belong. And I think, this is me just pontificating for what it's worth.
It's not worth anything, Tim Walz, but let's listen.
Social media and other things have disconnected people more than they were. We were more connected in my generation. It was easier to be a kid when I was growing up. And I've always said this as a teacher: if you don't give a kid a place to belong, they'll go find one. So why you want them to be involved in sports and music and things in school, because they will go find a group of folks. And I think Donald Trump understands belonging, understand groups. I mean, you look at it. He gives them a uniform, the red hat. He gives them some chants, some talking points, whatever. It's not all that different than when we build sports teams in high school. You belong, you're part of this. It's not so much the policies. I think it's incredibly dangerous, but I don't think we went out to get them. We didn't out to make them feel a part of this.
Okay. Sounds like Richie the bus driver calling me, not Tim Walz. Isn't that what Richie was saying to me the other day when he called in, him and Steve double teaming me there? The red hat, and I wear Trump hats all the time, okay? Saturday night, I'm so excited. My daughter has moved back to Florida from Los Angeles, and she was out there for just over 2 years. And I've seen her more in the 2 weeks she's been here than I did in the 2 years before. And Saturday night, I went out to Las Olas with my daughter and a friend of hers. We went out they got a Kilwins. I went out to some ice cream, and we walked around Las Olas. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and I've not been in that area in a long time. Boy, has it changed a lot. And I was wearing my Trump 2028 hat all over Las Olas. And I received only one negative comment from one lunatic. I mentioned him yesterday. And it was a guy that confronted me at the Tesla protest a couple months back. I recognized him. Throughout the entire walk up and down Las Olas, people were coming up to me, fist bumping me, nice hat, loved a hat, hey, Trump baby, and give me a fist bump. People of all different kinds of backgrounds. And when we were in Kilwins, I probably shouldn't have mentioned the place because of what I'm going to tell, but anyway, one of the employees in Kilwins, he comes up to me and he says, oh man, he says, I love Trump. And he says, I'm an immigrant. And I could tell because he had a very heavy accent. I couldn't hardly understand him telling me he loved Trump. His accent was so heavy. And the reason that we wear our MAGA hats is it's not a uniform where we can feel like we belong. We're proud of President Trump and what he has done and the MAGA movement. And, the last 4 years, those of us who, because I was wearing my MAGA hat around when it wasn't as popular as it is today, right? The dark last 4 years during the lawfare. And the reason we wear our MAGA hats are many reasons, and people do it for different reasons. But the reason that I and most people wear MAGA hats are the one I stated. We're proud of President Trump and everything he's doing in our great MAGA movement. But in the last 4 years and even today, it's important to let people know how many of us there are. There are so many people that have been closeted MAGA people. And when it's like, when gays were coming out of the closet, right? And they would go out and make a big deal. It's to let other people know we're here, we're with you, and we're a large movement. And, it's not some sense of belonging to something. Maybe that's what Tim Walz is about, right? He's projecting maybe his own dysfunctions and weakness as a man on others. But no, it's not for any of the craziness that he's talking about. And, MAGA people are very proud of President Trump and this great movement. And it's a great bond that we have when we go around. I'm looking at the clock. Okay, we're going to take a break. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll take our last break of the second hour and be right back. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff. What's on your mind?
Hey, do you see Tampon Tim there had some meeting with a bunch of people, a bunch of veterans, and they booed him down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's stolen valor.
Every time these Democrats are speaking, Brian, they are just shooting themselves in the foot. We just need to let them keep spewing their ignorance and exposing to more people, American citizens, just how wrong they are on everything.
Well, you know, what Tim is, by the way, he's called Tampon Tim because as governor, he put tampon machines in the boys' room. You know, so that's where he gets the nickname. It's well earned. You know, here's the thing. They're like those Japanese soldiers. They continued fighting the war when the war was over, and they didn't know it was over, right? There was that guy in the Philippines. They don't understand that they've lost. That you know. Yesterday, a lot of people were talking that it's Gay Pride Month, the month of June, and Target, one of the most openly gay-friendly businesses, they have patriotic American flag merch, no gay pride merch in their stores nationwide this Gay Pride Month. Wokeism is dead. It's over. That's it.
Yep.
We won.
Trump did that.
Yeah, it died in Butler. Wokeism died in Butler.
Yep. And they're not going to... They're digging a hole so deep, there's no climbing out of it. I'm happy on that point, but at the same time, I believe Cash and Bongino knew the evil that they were going against. I don't think they realized how deep and protected the deep state has been and what it's taken to unveil all of them. I believe it's about getting all of them, not just a few.
You know
what I'm saying?
I think they are over their head. I think they're over their head. I mean, you know, Tom Homan, he's a scary guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he has charisma where no matter what, if he walked into a room in Timbuktu and no one knew who he was, Homan would command that room. He's just got that natural thing. And not many men have that. Trump has it, the it factor, whatever you want to call it. And I just don't think that Cash and Bongino are up to the job, obviously, for whatever reason. They're just not up to it.
Are they being extra cautious, careful? You know, making sure they do everything by the letter of the law, not to.
It's been long enough. It's been long enough to bring out an indictment or two on someone. Come on. I mean,
who are they really? Who are they really targeting? I'm just asking that question.
Well, I would tell
Brian,
you,
because
Cash Patel on that interview last week with Brett Baer. He said that because of what Comey posted on Instagram, a lot of people have been posting the same thing, and Cash Patel said to Brett Baer, we're taking agents off of these child sex cases to pay visits to these people because they think they can do it because he did it. So why is it okay? He got away with it. So why is it okay for Comey to do it and they have FBI agents knocking down the doors of people that are doing it that aren't famous or connected? You know, I mean, come on.
I'm hoping beyond.
Tom Homan.
President Trump's going to do what's right.
I saw Tom Homan on Outnumbered about 3 or 4 years ago. Okay, he was the one lucky guy on Outnumbered on Fox. It's like 3 or 4 years ago. And at the end of the show, and this is before he was the border czar, right? I mean, he worked in the Border Patrol, but he was on television on Fox. He said, I want to say hello to my family. They're in protective custody right now, and I want to say hello to them in protective custody. They were under protective custody because he spoke out against the what's going on at the border. And so he's been under threat for years, and he still took the lead into this, okay? So if they're not up to it, quit. Let Trump hire somebody and find some people that can do it, like Tom Homan.
And could I ask you one thing? Did you hear about the drone attacks on the Russian aircraft? They took out billions.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
I believe something's big going to come out of that because they're going to try to blame the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Where did the drones come from? How did they get them? But do you think that's a story that might be?
Well, it seems to me that Zelensky. They say they didn't didn't inform the United States before the attack. That just didn't seem like a smart move when they're having peace talks. Hey, Jeff, I appreciate the call. You made some good points. Our number, by the way, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Ben from Pompano.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, so I'm glad you're bringing this all up in regards to Bondi and Patel and Bongino. I remember we spoke about it a few weeks ago, and I think everyone here, and everyone should be, if not, we're done with excuses. Like, I'm so sick of, it takes time, this, that. The Democrats didn't have any excuses. They didn't have any excuses. They executed.
Well, wait a minute. What about Tom? Tom Homan doesn't have any excuses. Look at everything Bobby Kennedy has done. So we have people in the Trump. The Trump cabinet. Everybody's operating perfectly as promised, except the Justice Department.
Yes, correct. Right. Tom Homan is the most serious man. He was born for this role. It's amazing. He's a skull crusher. I love the guy. And so if we had a Tom Homan in every position, we wouldn't be having any issues.
But look at McMahon. She's shutting down Department of Education that she's the secretary of. Elon and Doge.
Yeah, and let's not pretend.
Everybody else is doing the job they were hired to do, except Justice.
Yeah, right. And let's not pretend that there's no deep state in the Department of Education. My God, you think Randy Weingarten hasn't gotten her people in there?
Exactly.
And all. So the thing is, though, I'm just wondering. Trump has a great finger on the pulse of the base. I'm just curious because I know he's doing 4D chess. He's probably aware of things. He is aware of things we're not. But what is he going to do about it? I don't think
he wants to fire anybody to give. I don't think he wants to fire anybody. There's no way he's not disappointed like we are. Come on, come on. He hired them to bring the lawfare people to justice. Ben, I gotta run, but I agree with you 100%. Now I want to tell everyone about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Oh man, I'm telling you, I love it. Everywhere I go and I run into people, they say, man, you really have lost a lot of weight. People, I was at my mom's house on Saturday, and first thing my mom said when I walked in the door, said, wow, Brian, you've lost a lot of weight. I said, yeah. Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It works. It absolutely works. And, you know, what's really amazing about it is not just that I'm not taking any prescriptions and I'm eating food that I want, and that, you know, I'm not doing any exercise. What really blows my mind is I'm not hungry all the time. I thought I was going to be starving all the time. I thought I was going to be starving myself to death because I'd never been on any type of diet ever. And with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, my stomach's not growling all morning like it used to be. I feel great. I've cut my coffee back by 50%. I'm still drinking too much, but I cut it back. I cut my espresso back by 50%. I went from 8 shots a day to 4. Now I got to weed it down to 3 soon. But I was drinking 8 shots of espresso every morning by the time the show was over. Now it's just 4. That's still not good. Okay. But 4's better than 8. It's because I've lost all this weight, I have more energy. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. Remember, you can call and take advantage of this no matter where you're located, all right? No matter where you're located in the United States. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.com. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Call us on hold. You stand by. We'll take our top of the hour break and be back with more calls, and Steve Kane will be joining us as well. I'm Brian. Don't go anywhere. Back after this. Hey. All right, hold on. Let me put you on hold. Hold on. All right, you there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. 2 minutes. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay. Don't go anywhere.
Did you have somewhere you wanted to go?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I got some things that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, please.
All right.
Lead with somebody that we can
I might take a call or
about.
two, and then I'll jump in a couple things. Hold on. All right. You there, Steve?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right, Steve, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, stand by. The third hour has begun. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
All right, lots has happened and lots is going on, but I want to take a call or two, and then I'll bring some stuff up to you. If that's okay?
Sounds good.
All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, man, how you doing? So Palantir's going to have all your data soon. You happy about it?
I couldn't hear what you. I didn't understand what you said. Say it again a little more coherently.
Oh yeah, no. Palantir's getting all your data soon. You excited?
Who's getting my data?
Oh, you don't know about these guys. I guess you're not following the news too closely.
No,
Peter Thiel's company, Palantir, they're getting everything, man.
Really?
All that data that those opened up, they're scooping it all up. They're gonna put it into one big database.
What data? What? Calm down. Take a chill pill. We're here 5 days a week. All right, we're here till Friday. We're here all week. What data are they? What data are they taking?
All of it.
Well, be more specific. Like, what should I be concerned about?
All of it. I am being specific. It's all of it, dude.
Oh, well.
Palantir.
All of our data is already out there.
All of our data is getting centralized under one company led by close acolytes.
Who wants your data?
Palantir.
Why would somebody want your data? You, in particular.
Because it's going to be used to scrape, categorize, and
okay,
go
all right,
after
appreciate the call. Oh man, I regret taking that call. What a lunatic. Maybe they can leak out the information on who his therapist is and be sure not to see them because they're not helping that guy. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Weirdos today.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I am from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes?
Welcome.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, here we go. Hey, Trump does a great job. He got bad advice when he picked his Supreme Court justices and some of the other ones. David Clark, the black sheriff, man, he should have took the position where Dan Bongino is probably. And how about the guy who made his prisoners dress in pink jumpsuits? That sheriff.
Sheriff Joe's like 99 years old. He's probably too old. Sheriff Clark, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was about to get a position in the first administration of Trump, and then something came up about him during the vetting process, and President Trump had to withdraw the nomination.
Well, it'd be nice to get somebody who's proven, not just sits on the radio and talks big talk.
Oh, like me or Steve?
Anyhow, great show.
All right, appreciate the call.
Enjoy listening to you. Y'all have a great one.
All right, take care. Now, I'll tell you this. I'll just finish up, then we'll get to the new stuff. If Donald Trump offered the two of us, if Donald Trump, Steve, offered you to be the director of the FBI and me the deputy director, I would say I don't know how to do that. I don't think we'd take the job. I wouldn't take a job I wasn't qualified for. Now, I just realized this today, Steve. Do you know, a week from this coming Monday, 2 weeks from yesterday, will be 10 years since Trump came down the escalator? Can you believe that? Wow. It's been the Trump decade. And I know. I mean, it's been 10 years of Trump in 2 weeks. And of course, two days before the 10th anniversary of Trump coming down the escalator is the president's birthday on the 14th, which is a Saturday. So Saturday the 14th is the president's birthday. Monday the 16th of June is the 10th anniversary of Trump coming down the escalator, which we will celebrate, I'm sure, on this program on that Monday. But you look at what's happened, and right now we are finally seeing mainstream the Trump effect, right? You know,
this is what's confusing me as I sit here listening to all this Michigas going on.
Yep.
Why is everybody belly aching and being so negative this morning? The country's in better shape than it's ever been.
And I don't understand what everybody in our
Dan Bongino, I played a clip earlier in the show. Dan Bongino gave an interview on Fox, and he just sounded like a broken man who was about to crack, and he slipped, and he said, I'm divorced from my wife. He says, my wife is struggling. I'm divorced from my wife. I don't mean divorce. We're separated by distance. Then he threw that in. And he says, and it's very frustrating. All I do is stare at four walls all day in the office. And he sounded like a man who's depressed, slipped and said something during the interview that I don't think he meant to say. And I played that clip, and that's what inspired those calls.
An individual problem, but I don't understand why. I mean, basically, I'm hearing from everybody that everybody's throwing in the towel. I don't get it.
No one's throwing in the towel.
Basically, wiped out the enemy. I mean, there's no more functional Democratic Party per se.
That's right.
I mean, how much do you want?
It's great. It's great.
Time.
One of the biggest indicators that the country has been magatized is a new word I made up, right? Magatized. Or red-pilled, whichever you want to use, is this story which seems insignificant, but it's so important. There are things in our culture that happen, and there's changes in culture. And a lot of time, these things say something. And I played a clip and talked about a story a little bit yesterday, and it really blew up into something in the news cycle yesterday. The month of June is Gay Pride Month. Okay? And Target is the company that started this woke garbage. If you remember, before we had these cheaters, these guys in the girls' sports and all this stuff, Target was allowing men to use the ladies' room. Remember that? And that was the beginning of all this stuff. I don't know what inspired them to let men use the ladies' room, but that's what started all this. And they have and Target, which is on pretty much everyone's street corner in America, Target has canceled Gay Pride Month. And historically, since they started the men in the ladies' room nonsense, when you're in the month of June, they have filled their stores with Gay Pride merch. In fact, they even, I remember they were selling those, I don't know what they're called, but those things that girls, they were selling them to children, young girls, that women wear to hide their breast, to push their breast down so they look like men. I don't know what those things are. It's not a bra. It's like a girdle for the breast to hold them down so they look like they're a man. They have filled their stores with gay pride merchandise, hardcore, the last many Gay Pride months. Last year and the year before, the stores were completely taken over with gay and transgendered merchandise. They're no longer doing that. In fact, in the month of June, they brought it in early, all their 4th of July merchandise. It's all red, white, and blue American flag.
The country has evolved to a whole new level from where it was a year ago.
That's right.
That's what we should be celebrating.
And we are. We are.
Listening to the rantings of Jeff Tremaine. I had to get that out because it makes me crazy.
Who's that? I don't know who that is. Oh, Jeff from Maine. Jeff from Maine. Oh, okay.
Jeff from Maine.
Yeah. Steve doesn't like Jeff from Maine, guys, okay? But I do.
It's not personal. I just don't like him on the radio.
Yeah, well, I like Jeff from Maine's clothes. But that's okay, We have different tastes. But, but Target canceling Gay Pride Month, and I've heard other companies are doing this, but not only not having the Gay Pride merchandise, filling it with red, white, and blue American flag merchandise.
It's been a major change in the culture as a result
that's
of
right.
the Trump presidency.
In fact, I would say you've seen a lot more change than I have because you're a lot older, right? This is the biggest change. Yep. This is the biggest change I've seen in my life culturally. And I would equate and I know this, it's a big deal, guys. Target purging Gay Pride Month and it ending at Target and making sure that you know it by filling it up with American flag merch. that is one of the biggest societal changes this country has seen since we ended the Democrats' segregation. Since the desegregation of the public schools, I would consider it very close to the desegregation of the public schools. It's that big of a change. And if Donald Trump had not won the election, this change would not be happening. This is a major cultural change in this country at a level that I've never seen before, because desegregation happened before I was born.
Another one that's even bigger than that, and that basically is we're over the race war crap.
Yes.
They're going to listen to all that persecution of blacks, and blacks are abused and all this stuff. Everybody, the race war has gone away.
Well, yeah,
We all won.
All these things are signs of the new country that we're in, right? I mean, Target's not by itself important, but them not having Gay Pride Month and making a big deal with the American flag merch in its place, they brought in the 4th of July merch early, is a major statement, but it's an indicator of where the country is. And that's pretty amazing.
So the real question becomes, before we totally lose our focus, in light of what you're saying, which is 100% true, what are these people in our audience belly aching about?
I don't know. Were they belly aching? I didn't feel that. I mean,
yeah.
People are upset.
Yeah, well, it's me.
People are upset with Cash and Bongino. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, tell them to grow up and
well, I'm upset with them.
Grow a couple.
I'm upset with them. Things are going so well in every place except the Justice Department. The other day I was telling you that I had this salesman who kept coming to my house trying to get in the door, and I never opened it because I've got my doorbell camera. I was watching a woman yesterday, Steve. She almost was robbed by her front door by a guy knocking on her front door. She didn't know who was there. She opened it, and the guy tried to rob her, and luckily she escaped. The doorbell camera from...
Thank God you were there.
No, I wasn't there. I was just watching her talk about it online. But that wouldn't happen to me because I've got the doorbell camera, and you can get from Sloman's a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Opening up the door is so dangerous. You don't know who's there. So many home invasions happen that way, and you get a lot of deliveries too. I don't open up my door for deliveries. I watch them through the doorbell camera. I have them set it down on the porch because a lot of these people, they're casing your house and they're casing you. I'm a man of mystery, but you get a notification on your cell phone every time there's movement at your door. And it is very dangerous to open your door when you don't know who's there. But with the doorbell camera from Sloman's that you can get for free with the installation of your Sloman Shield, you'll always know who's at the door. You'll never open it for someone you don't know ever again. Sloman's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call, toll-free, 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. All right. Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. I got to call Barry.
Okay.
Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, stand by. All right, I'm gonna conference in Barry. Hold on a second. All right, Barry, we have about 30 seconds, a little more.
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're back, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Great. What do you have for us today?
Well, what I have today is I shared with you guys a couple weeks ago about what had happened to me fairly recently on my return from an overseas trip where I ended up having severe stomach pain, what ultimately turned out to be the need for an emergency gallbladder removal. And it was very scary because had it not been handled right away, it could have been much worse or even fatal. Unfortunately, something similar just happened this past week, not with me, but with a very close friend of mine. I won't get into the details of his health issue, but he ended up having to go to the hospital on an emergency basis and have an emergency surgery that if he didn't have, it would have been a very bad situation. And so the point is, we're talking, we're an estate planning law firm, and we help people plan for the future to have better futures and make sure that their loved ones are protected. And the thing is, the bottom line is, we don't know when some of these things might happen. Most of us expect that nothing's going to happen to us today, tomorrow, next week, that everything's going to be good, and hopefully that is the case. But from time to time, things happen, whether they're accidents or whether they're health episodes that can cause things to go differently than we had planned. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important to plan ahead. And so that's really what I'm preaching about today and lecturing about today is it's important to make sure that you have a plan in place, and even if you've done one in the past, to make sure it's reviewed and updated so you have a plan that's going to work when you need it to work. Because we don't, like I've said before on your show, Brian, and at the seminars, we don't have an expiration date on our foreheads like a carton of milk. So we don't know, and we need to be prepared.
Yeah, and even if you've had everything prepared by another attorney, another law firm, the Siegel Law Group will review that for you as well. Give them a call, and no matter where you are in the state of Florida, the Siegel Law Group can help. The number's toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
All right, take care. All right, Steve, we are back. You want to take some more calls? What do you want to do?
Sure.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Steve and Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Oh, hey, JJ.
Hey, guys. Hey, Steve. Well, maybe this won't come as a surprise, but I think everybody is way off on Bongino and Cash and Pam. And I look at the examples that have been given today. One of the recent ones just a little while ago was talking about the different departments, Kennedy in his department and how well he's doing, and Homan and how well he's doing. And I just want to throw a little piece of information in there about the differences and the people that work in those departments. In the health, you've got with Kennedy, you've got a bunch of doctors and scientists. These are not, these are people that have been on the take to help out, pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, and that's easily taken care of. You got Homan. The people that work for Homan, are they go-getters for America, or are they deep state, I hate America type people? They love America and they want to do their job. They weren't allowed to under the administration of Big Toe Joe. Yeah. Now, when you get to the Department of Justice and the FBI, not a Star Wars analogy here, but the deep state leprosy is very thick in those two, and it's just, and listen, we've got 1,461 days in a presidential term. We're 133 in. I think the problem really is us expecting miracles. It's the wish versus the reality.
Well, okay, I'm going to agree with you part of the way. There's a couple things here. What inspired this discussion today, which was not meant to take off, I just had this one clip of Dan Bongino slipping and saying, I'm divorced from my wife. Oh, not divorced, separated by distance, you know. It was very bizarre, and he sounded depressed. Moving out of the J. Edgar Hoover building, the reason they're doing that is because the whole thing's wired for sound. You can't have a private conversation at the urinal in the Hoover building. That's one of the reasons they're moving out.
I agree.
So that's something. But then again, we talk about Homeland Security. They set up this whole thing, the State Department and Homeland Security, to this El Salvador prison. Oh, did you know this jihadi in Boulder? They found USAID information in his car. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What's that?
Listen, that doesn't surprise me. But listen, Homan just said there's 2 million here. But let me go back to something you were just talking about. And what it comes down to is the interpretation of evidence towards your, whatever your position is, towards your conclusion. When one of the things that Bongino did say also was that we love each other. He said that, but that doesn't, that doesn't come into play here. In other words, when you're looking at a negative conclusion, your mind kind of steers you to look at information in a negative way. I look at the 4 walls comment. I don't see that anyway near what you thought of with regard to that. That's not the way I interpret that. I look at that as it's a visual for the people. Look. This is not a vacation for me. I'm staring at 4 walls. Now, he could be just like Trump. Trump could be living the life of Riley out there. Okay, so could Bongino. This is not a vacation. I'm staring at 4 walls. He's not a poser. I think that's basically saying I'm working hard. It's like, Brian, when you've had some callers that call in and start to talk to you about, and just go with me for a second. So I call up and I say, Brian, you should stop talking about all these things. You're wasting your time today. Let's talk about Keynes and Milton and the 10, 20, and 30-year corporate bonds. And,
oh, my goodness.
Let's discuss the International Bank of Finance.
Yeah.
Let's put everybody to sleep.
Yeah.
But somebody calls in and starts telling you that. Basically, in essence, that's what we're doing with Bongino, Cash, and Pam. It is so thick.
I use there was a Robert Redford movie in the 70s called The Candidate. You remember The Candidate, Steve?
Oh, yes.
That was a very good movie. And about 15 or 20 years ago, he was going to do a sequel to that, showing what happened after 40 years in D.C. He should have done that. But anyway, The Candidate is Robert Redford. It's not one of his more famous movies, but he's an entitled son of a California governor who runs for the Senate, and the movie is about his run for the Senate. And at the end, he wins, and he says to his staff, "Now what? What do we do now? Now that we've been griping, now we got the job. How do I do it?" I think Bongino doesn't know how to do the job. I don't think he's a regular cop like Homan. I don't think he knows how to do it.
I'm not so. I don't. Listen. I believe this. Listen. None of them know exactly how to do that job when they first get there. But this is not. But they know a lot more. Like President Trump when he first came in. He did, obviously, there's not here's how to run the country, but Trump is an executive who has run businesses. But he was surrounded, right? Trump was surrounded.
Hold on, JJ. What's that, Steve?
The most dramatic thing that strikes you in this instance is they haven't really weeded it out, the good guys from the bad guys yet. That itself is going to take years.
If I were Bongino, listen. If I were in Bongino's position and I could do something, my first stop to combat the lawfare is I would take my team that I would be leading to New York City and investigate Judge Mershon and his daughter. Those are the ones with all that fundraising and everything. I don't understand why they're not.
Is that going on right now, though? Is that going on right now?
Not to our knowledge.
Probably.
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't. Yeah, we probably shouldn't know that it is happening. Those are the things. See, and also that what FBI arrests have been made.
They're investigating. What they're doing are
Does anybody know?
Yeah, with their who said this the other day? I can't remember who said this the other day. I want to give them credit. It might have been Steve Bannon. Said it was either Steve Bannon or Tucker. I can't remember which one. They said they're arresting the regular criminals, but they're not going after the lawfare people. Now we do have Letitia. She's going to go to prison, and that's a big one. That's a big whale, literally. Okay, and I'm glad that we got.
What's the difference between the regular criminals, Brian? Though the regular criminals and the political criminals over the past, what is the difference?
Perfect example. On Sunday, we got this Islamic jihadi in Boulder, right? You know, he's being held on a hate crime charge. You know, and I know other charges are going to be coming, but why is he not being held on a terrorism charge? Why is it a hate crime charge? And I'll tell you know why it is. They let the local FBI guy handle it, not instead of Bongino heading to Boulder and taking the lead on it, which he should have done.
Here's the thing. I think when I
that wasn't a hate crime. That was terrorism.
Well, of course not. Yeah, when the obvious is obvious and people deny it, they take a hit to their credibility. But it also opens up a sort of a truth platform. In other words, people that know the government's been lying to them or think, like say Democrat voters most importantly, who are on the fence. They've got one side on, I think Trump's telling me the truth, but you know, I've been a Democrat for so long. When they see something like this whack job sheriff or police chief, whatever he is, you know, saying not calling it. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's throwing Molotov.
Yeah, I know the guy wouldn't call it a terrorist act.
Alive,
yeah, and I got a break, but we got a break. But there was a press conference yesterday. They asked the local officials, "What's the immigration status of the jihadi's family?" They wouldn't say. Okay, and Loomer broke the story that the terrorist's daughter has been accepted to 2 colleges in Colorado. What's going on? All right, listen, we got to run, but good call, JJ. I appreciate it. Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll take our break for the bottom and be back. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, hang in there. Okay. About 2.5 minutes, we'll be back.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. Okay, you there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
All right, hold on.
More?
Hold on, Steve. All right. 2 minutes. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You back, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Just over a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. 10 seconds.
Thank you. Don't go away.
We are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. All right.
By the way,
Yep.
if we just take a word in, I never give credit to the power behind the throne here. It gets us on the air every day. My wonderful wife, Lori Kane, who just brought me an ice pack the size of Cleveland to keep me awake for the rest of the show.
Oh,
she does
ice
great
does
job
that?
every day, and I couldn't do it without her.
Oh, my goodness. Where do you put the ice?
And I love you very much, Mrs. Kane.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Get
Good.
that
Kudos. Kudos. All
off
right.
my chest.
All right. Good, good, good. All right. Back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jack from Sarasota. How you doing, Brian?
All right.
I am having one. Hey. I love the conversation that you and Steve were having yesterday about how you always agree with Trump. I find it fascinating that even you can admit that Trump can be human sometimes and make mistakes.
I didn't say he made a mistake.
Brian, you said that you'll never disagree with Trump. The what? I'm sorry, Steve?
I said that was the whole point of the show yesterday, is that my contention was that Brian never admits it, would never admit a mistake if Trump made one.
No, he hasn't made one. And, so we got a liberal agreeing with you, Steve, on that issue. But
well, here's the thing. When he's flying out on Panda Express, when he goes to these different countries to try to make deals that he chickens out of, I think it's just amazing that you can never disagree with anything that he does.
I was unclear. You said something I didn't understand, and maybe I didn't hear you correctly. You said when he goes to Panda Express, you mean that restaurant at the mall food court? What do you mean Panda? What's Panda Express?
Panda Express is the name for Air Force One.
I've never heard that before. What's the meaning of that? I guess that's in liberal circles. What does that mean?
Well, you've heard of
vivid imagination.
I know what does that mean? Panda Express. What does that mean to you?
That's the same thing as taco.
Well, just say it. I don't understand. I'm slow. Okay, I went to public school in Florida. Okay.
I think the call is slow.
So you said Panda Express. I'm trying to understand what the meaning of that is. What does Panda Express mean? You call it
Orange chicken buys Panda Express.
Panda Express sell orange chicken?
Trump is the orange chicken who flies Panda Express.
You understand that the Never Trumpers shot President Trump in the head, and he got up and wanted to finish his speech, and he didn't drop out of the race, and he kept doing public open-air rallies. To call a man that brave who did that a chicken is a joke.
He is. He's a chicken when it comes to
if you get
policy.
listen. You get shot, and you've got these. I know you don't like to hear this. You get shot at a rally, and you continue to do open air rallies, even going back to the one where they shot you. When they try to shoot you again, that takes a lot of guts. You got to come up with some new talking points in your liberal circles. He whatever a chicken is, he's the opposite of that.
He's a chicken when it comes to economic policies. You can't tell me that's not true.
Nothing you said is true.
Oh, come on, Brian.
But you give me a hard. Slow down a little bit in Sarasota. You say that I have no credibility or whatever because I never disagree with Trump. You never agree with him. So why do you have credibility when you disagree with everything he does? Well, what do you?
Some things that I do.
Okay, what do you agree with Trump on?
I think it's a great thing that he's taking out all these harsh chemicals in our food supply. I think it's wonderful. Europe's been doing it for years. Why not us?
Okay, that's a good thing.
Why can't we help America get healthier? I mean, there's nothing wrong.
But this chicken thing and this panda, I mean, this is how you guys talk on the left?
Here's the thing. Do you know why we talk about that? Because it gets to him.
Because it what?
He's a chicken.
No, it doesn't get to him. He doesn't get bothered by that.
Because he's a chicken, and you know he's bothered.
If he's a chicken, when the Never Trumpers shot him in Butler, why did he get up and want to finish his speech? If he was a chicken, they're shooting at him. They shot him
because he knew that it looked good for him. Because you have a little.
If he was a chicken, don't you think he would be running away for cover and shelter?
No, he would not run away.
Really, a chicken gets shot.
He used that moment.
Can we move on to a more coherent person?
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard to do. All right, thank you for the call. You know, that chicken thing just doesn't, they got to come up with a new one. These are really twisted people on the left. The few liberals that we still have in this country are...
They're reality deprived. I mean, it's breathtaking. It's
I don't
really
know.
breathtaking.
I don't know if you've ever had a traumatic experience. While I've never been shot, okay, I've come close to it. You know, I almost shot myself once when I was a kid by mistake. But I was in a really bad car accident once, a really bad one. And when I first got back on the road, it was difficult. I was nervous, you know, and you know, and I don't know, a little trauma, right? You know, you get shot in the head and by people and then they try to kill you again a couple weeks ago. To get up in open air rallies after that takes more guts than I have. You know, it really does. Incredibly brave to get up there and do it over and over and over again. When the people whose mission is to protect you let it happen, really, because where the guy was in both instances where the assassins were. And this MSNBC Never Trumper crowd that have this taco, this Panda Express is a new one to me, but the orange chicken. When this taco thing started last week, I was explaining, while I'm not a stand-up comic, I do know some of the rules of comedy. And my understanding, Steve, is for a joke to be funny, there has to be at least some shred of truth or reality in it to make it funny.
That's what they say.
Yeah. And if there's no truth in it, it's not funny, right? You know, and the chicken, you know, they think that these things get to him. You know, chicken, calling someone a chicken and them overreacting was a theme in Back to the Future, right? Marty McFly, what are you, a chicken, Marty? And then he gets out of control. They think Trump's out of control. And in fact, not only is he completely in control, he's always in control. Now, I want to tell you guys about, of course, Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I was talking earlier, Steve, I was over at my mom's house on Saturday. I went to see my mom, and first thing she said was, "Brian, you've lost weight." And I said, "Yeah, Mom, yeah," and it's great, you know. The Coastal Weight Loss Secret, it works, guys, and we've had so many listeners take advantage of Coastal Weight Loss Secret, men and women, and a lot of couples are going together too in our audience. People from all over America are calling Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and you know, I was a little nervous about doing it because, you know, when Steve and I do endorsements, either I use the product or service, Steve does, or we both do. I've never done any type of weight loss program or diet plan in my life. And I was worried because I thought I was going to be hungry all the time. I expected not to be able to eat foods that I normally would eat like I'm doing. I expected to walk out with a big box of food that tastes awful, that was little tiny pieces that were not enough to fill me up. And of course, I'm eating food that I would normally eat, right? You know, I mean, I had meatloaf for dinner yesterday, okay, guys? And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it. And if I didn't do it, you guys would know, especially because I'm on YouTube and you guys see me all the time. You know, you guys would know, hey, Brian, not losing any weight there. You know, what's going on? But even listeners to the program who watch me online have been contacting me and complimenting me. And in this line of work, you don't get a lot of compliments from people in the audience about appearance. It's usually just negative. And I've been hearing so many.
You were the talk of the town. There's no question.
That's right.
Of that.
So listen, give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. I'm going to give you the number right now. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. All right, 561-247-2969. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. Remember, you can take advantage of Coastal Weight Loss Secret no matter where you're located in America. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, we're going to take our break, come back with the Gold Report and more calls after this. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. I've got to call William.
Okay.
Hey there, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to...
You're a little low.
Okay, hold on. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to conference William in. Oh, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
All right, William, you with us? No, I'm going to conference William in. William, just a few seconds. We'll be right to you.
Okay.
All right, we're back, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking good, actually, after yesterday's huge gain of $92.30. We got a little bit of a pullback today on profit taking, down to $20.80. But yesterday's market zoomed ahead on the precious metals, all of them being up significantly, especially silver. Gold closed at $3,380.60, which was up $92.30. Silver gained $1.76.
Wow.
$34.72. One of the biggest gains we've seen in silver in quite a while. $34.72 on the close. Platinum gaining $11 at $1,063, and palladium was up $19 at $976. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $3,347 all the way up to $3,394, almost $3,400. And right now we are at $3,360, which is just $140 away from the all-time record high of $3,500 for gold. Down $20.80 right now, as I said, on a little profit taking from yesterday's big gains. Silver down 37 cents at $34.35 the ounce. Platinum down $8 at $1,057. And palladium up $11 at $987. So the markets are doing good and building on higher highs.
Yeah, silver's hot right now. In the 1 ounce size, what are some of the really good buys in silver right now?
Oh, everything's on sale for silver as far as the premiums are concerned. We have 1 ounce rounds, 1 ounce coins from all the different countries. 1 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, 100 ounce bars are very, very reasonably priced. 90% silver coins at just $1 over the silver value per ounce. Excellent values in everything. So great buying opportunities. Even though silver has moved up, it's certainly way low compared to its historic ratios to gold. So we think we've got a long ways to go on the silver price.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, if you want to stop in William Youngerman shop, please do, in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road, which is just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. And after many, many years, they finished all that construction on Palmetto Park Road, guys, between I-95 and Federal. So it's a beautiful road, and you get there so quick now. You can also call William Youngerman after 10 a.m. toll-free, 800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. You know, Steve, I started the show, though, on something completely different, and then you know how that happens. There was a big story that I led with, and then, the freight train of the callers come in on another story I mentioned in passing, and then that's where the discussion goes sometimes. But did you catch Hannity last night? Oh, hold on, Steve. All right, I got you back. Steve, you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you catch Hannity last night?
Who?
Hannity, Sean Hannity.
Little, in and out.
He had Tom Homan on. Did you happen to catch that segment?
I was moving a lot around the dial.
No, I was asleep at that time. I caught it early this morning before I went on the air, and I'm glad I did because I don't watch Hannity all that much because he's on so late. I miss it a lot. He had Tom Homan on, and Tom Homan was talking about this jihadi in Colorado, and I'll tell you what, and this is what I led with. I'll tell you what Homan talked about earlier in a minute. But I mentioned to a caller a little bit ago, they found USAID paperwork in the terrorist of Colorado's car. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what his USAID connection is. But I don't know anybody that has USAID paperwork in their vehicle, but the jihadi, the terrorist did in Colorado, which I hope they get to the bottom of that. But what Tom Homan was talking about with Hannity, he believes that there's a major 9/11-like terrorist event building up. He said we've had
some talk about
yeah. He said we've had these two terrorist incidents, Colorado and D.C., and they've let in so many. We don't even know how many, right? They've let in so many.
Definitely planned. Now that you're talking about it, I was listening in and out to that conversation, and it did seem like they were prepping us for a major attack.
And Tom Homan is not a guy that hypes stuff up. I've never, you know what I mean? When he's in on remember the border czar, he's under the Department of Homeland Security as the border czar. So he's getting those briefings that the Secretary of Homeland's getting, and probably the presidential daily briefings too, on the threat level. So for Tom Homan to say something like that, that's not just him talking. Well, we got we had this border problem. That's something he was relaying from the briefings and intelligence they're gathering. And, there's no doubt about it. Both of these terrorist attacks are because of the Democrats, right? And
I think so.
Yeah. And the on CNN last night, one of the conservatives on CNN had said, I think it was Jennings that said this on CNN. He's very good. And he's running for Senate. Trump brought him up on stage at the rally a few weeks back. I think it was Jennings who said last night, he said, we've got to admit that this Free Palestine movement is really a terrorist front organization. And that's exactly what it is. And we've had two major acts of terrorism in the last week. We had the D.C. guy, while he was not a Muslim illegal, he was a radicalized liberal. He was yelling the same thing, Free Palestine. Right? And that guy didn't even try to get away. He wanted to get caught to get his messaging out about the Zionist. And the terrorist in Colorado, I know he looks nuts. No shirt on with the but he had been planning that they're all nuts. If you're out there doing terrorism, you got to screw loose. Sane people don't do that. But he had been planning this attack for a year. And so to make homemade Molotov cocktail, well, I guess all Molotov cocktails are homemade, but to make homemade weapons like this, as he did, how did he do this without his friends and family knowing? My goodness, if I take the last Pepsi out of the refrigerator, somebody in the house is going to notice, right? You know what I mean? This guy's making Molotov cocktails in the garage. And his daughter that's admitted to two colleges in Colorado, they didn't know this? Come on. And, when Tom Homan says that there's a lot of terrorists in this country and something's coming, that's frightening to me. It's frightening to me because he does not play. That wasn't just something he dropped to make the interview exciting. That was a warning to the masses. See something, say something. Right, and he's. I would not go to any of these pro-Israel events in the country. Would you, Steve? After what happened in Colorado, I wouldn't go to any of them.
I wouldn't go to any of the big events.
No, No, they're
Not
being
just pro-Israel. It's
no.
It's a dangerous time.
They are. It is dangerous. And one of the things we're missing in this country. 'Cause I watched a lot of media yesterday because I wanted to get the updates on what happened in Colorado. There are no Jewish national voices anymore. The Jews don't have there's no national leaders or spokespeople anymore.
Well, we got Trump.
Well, we've got Trump, but we don't have. Jews used to have an organization different organizations where people would come out against these actions. And I don't see that anymore. It's really a sad thing. And I guess whatever organizations they have, Steve, they're probably liberal.
The ADL used to do that.
Yeah, well, they're radical liberals. They're radical liberals. They they probably agree with the Free Palestine people. That what I mean?
Activists.
Liberal activists under the guise of other things. But Tom Homan's pretty smart. Now I want to talk for a moment here about Jupiter Joe Thomas. You want to give him a call. Talk to him about annuities. There's so many different types of investments. I'm not an investment guy. I'm not a financial guy. I don't like stress and anxiety. I'm a very safe guy. To me, there's three types of investments, right? The precious metals, right? That's what precious metals, real estate, and annuities. These are no risk things, right? And there's so many different financial vehicles: 401ks, IRAs, money markets. I did not know this, but people still buy CDs. I didn't even know those existed anymore. All of these different things, they go up, they go down. They seem to go. You notice when they go down more than when they go up. But none of them, unlike annuities, guarantee you no risk and an income stream in your retirement. You have nothing to lose with an annuity because your money's safe. You're not going to lose a dime. And that extra revenue stream when you're retired is pretty good. I asked Joe Thomas, when you have a high net worth person come in or somebody who's a retiree, a middle class person, what are the different things that they want with annuities? He said, same thing, income stream. Yeah, everybody can always use another income stream, especially in retirement. Give Jupiter Joe a call. No matter where you're located in the United States, you can take advantage of the no-charge consultation. And Joe put together a custom proposal just for you. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And you can also find his number on his website, jupiterjoe.com. So anyway, most definitely I will be paying a lot of attention to Tom Homan because his appearance on... I'm not going to miss any appearance I know of his coming up after watching him on Hannity. And I'll say, I have not watched Hannity in a while. He didn't interrupt or anything. So Hannity's brushed up his one thing that he annoyed me with was not letting his guests talk. He doesn't seem to do that as much as he used to. So maybe I'll go back to Hannity, Steve, for some information in the future. He did all right last night, but
he does the same crap all the time.
Oh, he still does that? He's just intimidated by Homan. Oh, I guess.
It's all about him.
Well, that's true. That's definitely true. Yeah. But enough about me. What do you think about me, kind of thing. But
exactly.
There has been, just to end where we began. We were talking about the Target thing. There's been such a change in this country, so far as where the country's at. I mean, a major cultural and political shift has taken place. And people are very openly and very much so talking about the Democrats are to blame for these terrorist attacks coming in from the southern border, radicalized by the Democrats in California.
There's also increasing talk about doing something about Iran.
Well,
about taking out the nukes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I know, but
a lot of that.
Yeah. So, but
that's the major theme with all the complaining that's going on now.
You think? I know there's a push for that. Mark Levin's screaming about it. I mean, I'm not in favor of letting Iran have nuclear weapons, but
everybody has on his show.
Yeah, well, that's because he's got an agenda. His agenda is to bomb Iran.
Well, his agenda is to see that Israel doesn't get nuked first.
Well, I was reading this morning
Would you be in favor of that?
of Israel being nuked by Iran. No, I'm opposed to that.
No, of taking steps to see that Israel is not bombed before they get a chance to protect themselves.
President Trump is just about to make a deal with them, Steve. I mean, he's making a deal with Iran. He's on the verge of doing it. I was reading this morning some of the deals that they've leaked out, you know, and some of it, and Mark Levin's going to have a heart attack if what leaked out in the New York Post is true. But we don't know yet because Trump has. Well, we only have like 10 seconds, but so I can't go through it. I'll tell you tomorrow. But the New York Post has been reporting on it. We're out of time for today. Those of you on hold, hang in there. If you're on hold, you'll be first in line tomorrow at 6. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane's been here. I'm Brian. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. All right, guys, listen. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. We are, you know what? Let me take a call or two before I go. Hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Jerry from Maga Valley, Arizona. How you doing today?
Hey, Jimmy, you made it to the post show. We just signed off the radio. We're just on YouTube now.
Oh, awesome. Well, hey, first off, man, like these dry toast liberals over here trying to like talk about Trump in this Panda Express at Taco. Man, listen, y'all ain't got no flavor, and you hopped out the toaster too late. That's why you got burnt by President Trump, man. But when it comes to these terrorists, because you opened that up, you opened it up with the show with the terrorists. Listen, President Trump is just like an alchemist. Right now, he got America in the gold pot, and a lot of dross is coming up. A lot of those impurities, they're coming up right now, and we're seeing it. But this is going to cleanse America and make America safe again.
You know, with that guy with the panda thing, right? Because they serve orange chicken, Panda Express. Yeah. How petty and childish are they? And you know, isn't it? It's just so petty and childish.
Yeah, and it's like this, man. Every time they get the mic, they always fall flat, man. Like, yeah, it's just like, just please, just step back. We don't want to hear from y'all.
And you notice when I told him about, you know, well, he got shot and he got up and he kept after he got shot. That takes a lot of balls. You know, takes a lot of guts.
I mean, come on, man. We got people in the hood that are over here getting shot. You know, like, bro, you talking about people are brave. Man, this is one of the bravest presidents. Not only did he get shot, but he's standing up against the deep state.
Yep.
He's actually standing on what the American people voted for. You know, like, come on, man. How does this man not have heart?
Exactly. All right. Appreciate the call. Take care.
Yeah. Hey,
yep.
Sir.
Yep.
No. I just wanted to say, I hope that Harriet Tubman book is going good for you, and I hope to hear about it pretty soon. All right?
You know, I'm reading like 4 books at once, and I always do that. And I'll tell you, the Harriet Tubman book, it's really disturbing how bad the Democrat slave owners were. It's hard to read because it's like reading a horror novel. It really is.
It almost is. It almost is. And if people actually woke up to the history of what the Democratic Party did to the black people, I think that would change the demographic of the voting dramatically, because there's a lot of people that don't even realize that Lincoln was actually a Republican, that he was shot by Democrats.
Well, they think
the Republican Party.
They think that all the good Democrats, all the good people are Democrats and all the bad people became Republicans. You know, that big switch, they believe in that nonsense. And you just can't get through to them on it. But I've been reading that Harriet Tubman book slowly because I read a couple of pages. It's horrific. I mean, we know slavery was bad, but it's very detailed and very graphic in a way that I've never read before about slavery. It's hard to read. Yeah. I mean, they're even talking about how they were breeding people.
How they were breeding, yeah, and I mean that's wild, and it's the same thing that's going on today. But we're not even going to talk about that.
All right, appreciate the call. Take care. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. How are you today?
All right, you made the post show.
Just two quick points. You mentioned it's been 10 years since President Trump came down the escalator in the tower there. There's a guy who deserves a Profile and Courage Award for every day for the last 10 years. What he's had to deal with, not only the health threats, but just the aggravation in dealing with these loons in this country and all the threats that we have to deal with. This man deserves a Profile and Courage Award. Second point was the movement of all these FBI agents out of the building and that, and I know it's all wired up and everything. I prefer to think of this as a tactical move. Are these agents being moved around for a tactical reason, different parts of the country for something maybe we don't know about, they know about?
I think it serves a couple purposes. One, they want to. It's filled with bugs, listening devices.
Yeah.
And the other is it's a good opportunity to clean house.
Yes.
And break up people.
Yeah. I think we have to give. I know Bongino and Patel. They're under the microscope. That's a high-profile job. Other guys, there's a learning curve in any job you go to. But when you're under the microscope too, it's a lot of pressure.
the thing with this is the thing. Okay, they were supposed to already. Yeah. He was a big federal agent and a cop. He told us.
Yeah,
right? And
I know.
And I think there's a lot of hype with that. I don't think he's. I just don't think he's the street cop agent that he's sold himself as.
Right.
You understand?
And also the media guys too. They've dealt with the media before. They know it's a little disappointing, but I'm still going to give them some more time on it. But,
well, the reason I did that, I did not mean for the discussion to even go this way, but that one clip of him, of Bongino, he seemed like a broken, depressed man. And I know he said, "My wife." Did you hear that clip when I played it?
Was it on last night?
It was on Fox. He was on Fox and Friends on Friday, and it was during that interview.
Okay.
I'll play it again after I end the call. Go back to your computer. I'll play it so you can hear it.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, take care. Appreciate the call. Yeah, thank you. Let me play this before I go. This is what got this going. This is Bongino, and he really slipped here.
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You straighten out the FBI, you moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing.
Okay. I mean, so I'm divorced from my wife. Oh, not divorced, separated. What? That's. I've never heard a married man say he's divorced from his wife, who's with his wife. I mean, that just was a strange thing to say. And I think he sounds depressed and almost broken, and there's some beginnings of hopelessness coming. I didn't mean for to take the whole show in that direction, but sometimes that happens. I want to tell you guys that, of course, many ways to support the program. Go to MyPillow.com. There's a link in the description of the video. This is my premium MyPillow, the one that I slept on last night. And the premium MyPillow, which is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout at MyPillow.com. And again, there's a link in the description of the video to MyPillow. This is amazing. The premium MyPillow is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane. This is the one this is the Giza cotton cover on it. It's absolutely amazing. All the fabric is 100% Giza cotton, and it keeps you the perfect temperature all night. So during this hot summertime, your head and neck are cool and comfortable all night. During the winter, you're warm and toasty. And it's, of course, has the patented fill inside that keeps your head from tossing and turning all night. Still time to order for Father's Day. These are great. And I was talking earlier, just holding the MyPillow in my arm like this, it feels so comfortable. And this whole side of my body is relaxed as soon as I grab onto the MyPillow. So order yours. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, I want you to know, I put up a video giving you some personal information and behind-the-scenes stuff going on with me in the program that's available to Patreon supporters. So those of you that are Patreon supporters, make sure you watch that video. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, become one. You know, if you're a Patreon supporter, which there, of course, there's also a link to that in the description, you get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes, which is now a video podcast. So you get access to a commercial-free edition in video form to my podcast, to all Patreon supporters. And there's other benefits as well. So thanks so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk, all right? I'll see you guys later. New podcast coming today. Don't miss it. Take care.